In this module, Anne-Marie Fontaine reports on a particularly disruptive student she had to deal with during her practicum in a secondary school. The student, whom we will refer to as Isabelle, was in Secondary 5. In terms of disruptive behavior, typically Isabelle would refuse to do the assigned work, would refuse to cooperate during teamwork, and would say hurtful comments to other students. Not only was Isabelle's behavior disruptive on an individual level, but it seemed to have a direct impact on the mood of the class as a whole. Basically, it appeared to Anne-Marie that if Isabelle was having a good day, the students as a whole would be more willing to participate. By contrast, if Isabelle was having a bad day, other students appeared to imitate her and were also disruptive. After consulting the school's social worker, Anne-Marie realized that she was dealing with a student with an oppositional defiant disorder. Typically, students like this have major problems coping with authority figures and are inclined to be attention-seeking. In what follows, Anne-Marie reports on the various strategies which she used in order to come to terms with Isabelle's behavior and get her to become more cooperative.
Since I knew I had to work with a student with an oppositional defiant disorder, I knew I had to avoid confrontation. I knew Isabelle would refuse to obey any source of authority. And I wanted her to be on my side because she could be a positive leader, but she could also be a very negative one. So that's why I used this strategy called same-side chat. With this strategy, we set up meetings and she stayed after class for 5 or 10 minutes. And I was there to listen to her, and we shared our opinions and ideas about the class. And instead of just being frustrated with her action in my class, I was more focused on her and getting to know her a little bit more. It really helped in a way because she opened up after a few meetings, and then she was acting very differently in the class. She knew I was on her side and she was on mine. Another strategy I used is a very simple one. You don't need any material, you don't need anything. It is proximity. Usually I like to walk around a lot in my class, but for a few classes I stayed right next to Isabelle. She knew I would hear or see anything she would do. It served to remind her that she was not allowed to do whatever she wanted to. And at the same time, she was seeking my attention. And since I was right next to her, she had it all. Since authority was not working with Isabelle, I wanted her to feel that she was the one making the decisions, although I was still the one in charge. To do so, I used a strategy called Make a Better Choice. In Keegan's book, Win-Win Discipline, there is a quote which says, "The teacher calls for reflection rather than obedience." This is exactly what I wanted her to do, to reflect on her behavior. And she did so in writing a contract in which she included strategies she wanted to use in order to change her behavior. And she found interesting solutions and interesting strategies. It really helped. Another strategy I used was to ignore the disruptive behavior. This strategy can be really hard to do sometimes because you hear and you see things that you would like to react to. But I knew that she was behaving this way because she wanted my attention. and I didn't want to give it to her for those reasons. I remember a class when she was chatting with a boy who was sitting at the other end of the class, and it was very disruptive. But instead of telling her to stop or telling them to stop, I just told the boy, I know you're really interested in all the girls and you want to know them, but I'm giving a class right now and I want to know what will happen in your discussion. So if you can just wait until the break so I can follow your discussion and at the same time give my class, it would be so nice of you. And then everybody laughed, and I didn't give her my attention at all. And I didn't want to, because I wanted her to know that she wouldn't get my attention for that kind of behavior. Since Isabelle was seeking attention, I knew I couldn't ignore her forever. I had to give her my attention at some point. So, I used a strategy called express appreciation. When she was doing something right, I would tell her. I would tell her that I appreciated and that I noticed what she did. And it really worked. She felt she was part of the group and she wanted to impress me. And she did. She was participating more and in a better way. As it was mentioned before, my experience with Isabelle took place during my 4th practicum. And during that practicum, I had the chance to work with a very cooperative teacher. So I used the strategy peer coaching. I wanted to use praise with my students. It was really important to me, but I didn't know if I was doing it right. So I asked my associate teacher to come in my class and give me feedback on the praise I was giving. He gave me strategies to use, such as mentioning the name of the student when giving praise, or using body language. Just a smile can make the whole difference. Those strategies were very helpful to me, and I'm sure I will use them in the future. Another way to give Isabelle the impression she was the one making decisions for herself was to use self-management strategies. To do so, I encouraged her to think about strategies she could use when she felt she was about to engage in disruptive behavior. She asked me if it was okay to leave the class when needed, just to drink water or just to breathe in, breathe out, and just to relax. I accepted, and this is what she did. And when she came back to class, she was more relaxed, she was calmer and more focused on the task.